first and foremost, I just want to say that I'm sorry I haven't been around for the past 2 weeks. I've had a crazy, crazy, crazy amount of things going on lately, and I just haven't had time to get on my computer and make a video. So, actually, 2 videos. So I'm pretty behind, and I really apologize for that. But I promise I'll try my best to update you guys as much as I can every Saturday. So the topic of this week was questions, and basically it's just to help you get to know us a little bit better because we answer your questions, but you really don't know a lot about us. So hope these questions will help you get to know me a little bit more. And so yeah, so here we go. My most embarrassing moment. I'm gonna have to narrow this down because I have so many. One that I can think of from off the top of my head. I was in choir. I was in a choir, and the choir consisted of mostly adults. It was a church choir for an Episcopal church. And I remember one time we had a show, or not a show, I keep saying show, I'm saying show, really. We had a performance. It was for a morning mass, and I remember I had a BlackBerry at the time. My BlackBerry was on silent, but I don't know if you know much about BlackBerries, but BlackBerries, when you put them in your pocket, um, sometimes like they'll roll to, like it'll somehow get to volume, and because when it goes in your pocket, like it kind of goes around, it takes a little ball thingy and it messes with the volume. So my volume went up, it was suddenly turned on, and I remember my ringtone went off. I don't know if it was an alarm, I don't know if somebody was text messaging me, but I know my ringtone went off. And my ringtone at the time, I had like specific ringtones for certain people. And I remember the ringtone was of my sister, and she was doing like this really squeaky voice. And it went off during the service. And so I immediately, my choir teacher looks at me like, Alexa! And everyone else was kind of like everyone in my choir was doing that. And I don't think anyone actually, because we were above a level in the choir, like so we were on the second level, and everybody else that was attending the church service was on the first level. So they told me that no one really heard it, apparently on the first level. So, but still, it was pretty embarrassing because this was during like the quiet time. I think everybody was. I don't know if we were praying at the time, but I do know this was like right before communion, so there was no music playing. My ringtone just went off. Nobody was talking. It was quiet. So I'm pretty sure it was loud. And it was pretty embarrassing. My body was getting so warm. My adrenaline was pumping because this was a job too, so I was getting paid. And it was just truly embarrassing and disrespectful because it was in a church too. So I was just like, oh my gosh. It was kind of hilarious too because now looking back, I'm like, really, Alexa, why didn't you just turn off your phone? Duh. But, I figured it was on silent. It took me forever too to get the ringtone to stop. Like I was trying to get to the application, I had to unlock my phone. Which that's weird how it went off in the first place. It must have been an alarm. But I had to unlock my phone, and then I had to get into the ringtone application. I had to get to the volume to turn down the ringtone, and I had to stop it. It was the weirdest thing, but that was one of my most embarrassing moments thus far. This was about, I guess it's been 4 years. I was a junior in high school. It's pretty embarrassing. I have always admired my grandfather, Frank Tovar. He was the most amazing person I've ever met. Well, the most amazing person I've ever known in my entire life. My grandpa, he was so strong. He was funny. He was honest. He could fix anything. He could fix a problem. He could fix something that was broken, literally or figuratively. He could do it. Emotionally, he could do it all. Um, he always made something funny. Like even if you had a terrible situation, he could make it funny. And that was something that I always truly admired about my grandfather, and he was so strong, and he was the kind of person that, even if he had a problem, he would he was so selfless. Like, he would help somebody else before himself, and I always sculpted all of his attributes. I wanted them to be a part of who I was, and I still today, I want to be exactly who he was, just because he was so amazing, and he's someone that I truly admire, and I want to take all of his qualities and try to, communicate them, and it, he's just a great person, and he's just the kind of person you never forget. Like, even if you met him one time, you just don't forget him. He just has that, my grandpa had that kind of personality that he was just unforgettable. And he had this rare personality that you only see once in your lifetime. So I would definitely have to say that my grandfather is first and foremost the person I admire and look up to. My last and final question was, what's my greatest accomplishment? And I really feel like my greatest accomplishment is the way that I see the world, my outlook on the world. I really feel like the way I view people and the way that I view society and the way that I view everyone is selfless. And it's mostly because of my grandfather. The way that he always brought, the way he brought me up was to look at people and give them a chance. No matter who the person is, no matter what they've gone through, to understand who they are and to understand from every aspect of how to get to know someone. I think people are really judgmental, and I feel like a lot of the time after people discover people have flaws, they look at them differently. And I truly feel the way that I look at people is unconditional. Like, basically, no matter what a person does to me, I still unconditionally feel the same way. I forgive, but I never forget. But, I still look at them the same way. And maybe it's a little bit ignorant and maybe it's kind of naive, but, I do realize that there are rude people in this world. I realize there are bullies. I realize there are people who don't understand. I realize there are people who are not good. But I do believe there's good in everyone. I just believe that sometime in your life, you felt like there wasn't good in people, so you gave up and you decided to take out your anger and aggression toward others. And I really feel like that's really what brings out the bad in other people, is that you don't know what's good anymore. So that's my outlook on life. And being my age, being only 21 years old, and knowing what I know, and seeing what I see, and realizing what I realized, I'm proud of that. I'm proud of the way that I look at people. I give people a chance. I realize that everybody makes mistakes, and I realize that none of us are perfect, and I realize this is not a perfect world, but despite that, I realize that there is good, and there are ways to look past things. And so that's really something I'm proud of, is the way I look at life, the way I see the world. It's an accomplishment to me, because I feel like sometimes it takes people their whole lives to get that way. And I'm only 21 years old, and I see the world this way. So I'm pretty proud of that. But anyway, if you ever want to know anything else, feel free to message me. You're more than welcome to leave comments, and please subscribe to this channel. I hope you enjoy everyone else's videos this week, because they work really hard on them as well. And thank you so much for watching.